worked correctly, and it's going to let us, and it's going to do everything it's supposed to do, and it's going to make us go live. There it goes. We're live. We're actually live. It's working. I think it's got it working. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Low Key WAL. Episode something or other. Who cares? If you're expecting hardcore like politics for like the big show, this isn't it. This is Low Key WAL. Welcome to the basement of the We Are Libertarians network. This is just where we get to talk about loose things here. Gather people from the Discord channel, and we like to talk about different things. So I think the only person who brought hardcore notes and really got for this, and feels like he was trying to audition for the big show. I got Vincent Cooper here on the line, and also brought Escalja from the Discord channel. There we got everybody. Go ahead and say hi, Vincent.
Hello.
You want to introduce yourself, talk about who you are, and there's a lot of people. There's been a long time since there's been a Low Key WAL episode. A lot of people have to know who the heck these losers are. They've just been watching the big show, and then
that makes sense.
Like, who are these people?
I'm basically an encyclopedia of nerd knowledge, and have way too much useless information in my head.
Sounds about right. Escalja, you're in the background for the wall for a lot. A lot of people do see you around, especially in the INLP circles. Why don't you give yourself tell everyone who you are?
Well, I mean, there's not really much to say. Long-time listener that managed to lie, cheat, and steal my way onto the show a few times, and kind of been there trying to make stuff happen with the Liberty and Chill and the Discord and some of the peripheral stuff. Build it as a community.
All right. Yeah. Escalja and Vincent both have been there, very instrumental in keeping Liberty and Chill going, especially through the pandemic, when we did the online ones. So a lot of people from, at least in 2020, just knows this from just doing the virtual Liberty and Chills, getting everyone together and talking. Probably not used to seeing Vincent Cooper's face, just seeing my mug when we do this thing. But Dear Leader has been using StreamYard for the big show, and I'm like, I'm going to give this piece of equipment, a tryout. I'm not that convinced on it, so I haven't paid for it. And you see the logo over Vincent Cooper's face, so I'm using the free version. Ooh, evil free version. I haven't used the pricing yet, but I eventually will. I will try it out. But it's no here nor there. So this is the topic, the show that I kind of teased the point on like 2 episodes ago in the main show. That one thing that been boiling me up that I've brought up in Liberty Chill, or just anyone who else is going around me, is the situation with China. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry. All right. So get this out of the way. I in quote unquote low key wall fashion. I'm drinking through the whole thing. I don't care. I'm drinking Knob Creek if you're asking, and it's 100 proof. It's rye. It's summertime. Drink your rye. That is not an ad, not a paid partnership. But if they want to pay, I drink your product. You can't pay me. I will drink your house. But the one alcohol sponsorship that I would like is Ice House. So, okay, if anyone knows anyone working at the Ice House Brewery, give me an Ice House sponsorship. That'd be great.
All I can think of is it's like speaking of sponsorships, Raid Shadow.
Raid Shadow. Oh god. Oh man. Blank mattresses. X mattresses. This is the best mattresses ever.
Totally not a front for the mob.
I know. Oh, you got someone watching. Hey, Christy. Yeah, the mighty vocal Low Key WAL people that love this show, that keep making us making sure we come back, and it's just. But anyway, so the topic that I've been wanting to talk about is China, is because everyone likes to talk about how America is bullying China, and it's just America doing all this aggression and this tariff war. It's just China and America doing this. If you start poking around the surface, you will find out that this is not the case. This is not what's going on. China is actually possibly, I don't know, we'll talk this out and discuss this very loosely about this hour about how maybe China is not playing nice with its neighbors, and for better or worse reasons.
And most important partners.
Yeah, and their partner and their business partners, which they have contracts with. I apologize. That is the work phone. There is a server at work that is functioning correctly.
Sounds like a Friday problem.
Yeah. The server is functioning correctly, but the alerts are on it are way too sensitive. And I said, like, hey, you guys need to fix these alerts. Why? Like, well, I'm just snoozing them, but you guys should probably fix these. But I've been on vacation today, so I haven't been there all day to go like, hey, snooze, 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 snooze. So it just kind of keeps happening all day. So I apologize about that. But I've silenced my phone. Hopefully that's a fake alert, not a real alert. It's not really broken right now. We'll find out. They can call it. We'll find out.
Sounds like a Friday problem.
Oh yeah, it's a Friday problem.
You're on vacation. It doesn't count.
It's okay. Yeah. And I got like some kudos for doing that last minute new hire that they did to me at like 7 p.m. on a Friday. So I hope it did their stuff correct because I was drinking. And I did it for my phone. So if their name's not spelled correctly, not my fault. Should have did it before. I put it on my business calendar when I start drinking on Friday. Starts drinking, right?
What is your name? Brad? How is this? Yeah. How does he have it on the system? BQR. Another R.
Well, this guy Lloyd with two Y's. Okay, this guy with Lloyd had two Y's in his. I put two Y's in there. Like, well, just deal with it. See you in the morning. What? Deal with it. I told you on my calendar when I'm drinking. Okay, if you think that's a joke, I'm sorry. I learned from the Guadalajara office that if you put on your calendar that you're drinking, anyone who interrupts you that just you've been drinking. But anyways, back to the China problem or issue or was it situation? Maybe it's situation because it's not really. I think only person that really has a China problem is Australia. Everyone just has issues.
Well, I mean Japan too. Japan is
That's an issue.
I don't know if it's an issue. Saying that they've literally spent over 100 days just like staring at them with guns, like, do something. We want you to. Just do something.
All right. So, as some people you may know, like the People's Republic of China is ruled by the CCP, or what it stands for? The
Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, Chinese Communist Party. And they have. Let's start with Japan. That's most people's. When they think of Asia, the two countries they think of is China and Japan, right? These are and these two countries have been warring with each other, invading each other for what? A couple 200-300 years, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. If you thought the Middle East was warring and bad, maybe you should probably look at these two. This was just some of the stuff that Japan and China has done to each other. It's been awful,
right?
But so one issue that, which is like the big one, like most people know about, this is one I'm going to bring up. And, if there's a chime in or if I get something incorrect, guys, remember Key WAL, it's kind of informal or just discussing the things of the day. Is that the simple fact when Japan bought the rights to a certain island group in the what is that? Around the South China Sea, that they're private small islands that have. Oh, okay, I'm getting confused. Sorry, I was getting confused with the Vietnamese ones. What are ones that they have the massive shell deposits? The ones that Japan has are just they're just strategic islands. They're mainly uninhabited islands that were privately held and owned, and Japan bought them.
Yes, Japan had them until World War II.
Correct.
Which the U.S. took over until it gave it back to Japan. But the big thing is that they're called the Senkaku Islands for the Japanese people, and it has underground oil and natural gas reserves underneath it, and that's why China's all like, we want that. they didn't care about it till 1968. In '68, there was an excavation that found those resources, and then 2 years later, Beijing's like, we own those islands. Those are ours.
Oh yeah. There's cool stuff there now, so we need to have those. And they've been. I thought like at one point in time they went through like a private ownership, like a private owner did own that between the U.S. and Japan owning that.
From what I understand, that Japan got ownership in 1895, and then they gave it to the U.S. when they surrendered in World War II.
Right, and I think the U.S. sold it to a private entity, and that's how Japan bought them back. I believe.
It's in '72. So. Japan got it back through what was the Okinawa Reverence Agreement. So U.S. had it and just handed it back to them.
Okay,
so here you go.
Maybe those the Vietnamese islands.
Yeah, I think it's the Vietnamese.
Yeah. So China, which is rich in resources, natural gas and oil, apparently needs more. And this offshore of the drilling type over here in the sea from Japan, and they have been, at least the Vietnamese islands. It's the exact same way. They've been going after these islands, but the Vietnamese Navy actually has been shelled. China has been conducting war games and have accidentally mortars have gone into them and their seas and get them to push themselves back, and which but anyways, those are accidents though. But yeah, anyways.
Accidents, totally accidents.
Yeah, but this, so it's got those islands. Then with Japan dealing with struck a massive blow to China with their COVID relief package. Prime Minister Abe, what he did working through basically their version of the Congress is their relief package for COVID-19, right? Is you only get your money if your factory leaves China,
right? And
you get more money if you go back to Japan.
Yes, if you come to us, we will help you.
Right, which is massive, and it's like weird that no other U.S. thing is talking about that deal, because those are like massive factories, massive deals. Every like those, which affects a lot of different things, especially like the PS5 launch.
I do got some numbers on that, because I did find a little bit in that, right? So Japan is going out of their way to pull them out, right, through the subsidies. So as of when I found that article, they paid 87 different firms, and the program has paid out $2.3 billion US.
Jesus.
To those 87 firms already. Oof. That's already paid to pull them out of China. So
right. So that's why like it is when everyone goes like, oh, Trump is just being bullheaded to China about pulling manufacturing back. It's like the U.S. is not the only country thinking about doing this. They're not the only ones. Japan, they are hedging their bets that they need to get the heck out. And Abe, this is also like something he's talking about and trying to get pushed through before he steps down, is even considering like changing the Japanese constitution so they can actually make an offensive force. I think I read that correctly. Did you see that?
Potentially, but the biggest issue mostly right now is that they're just doing their best to deal with what's happening, because of the whole Senkaku Island thing. China literally sat on the East China Sea with their naval guards for 111 days straight, and just sat there staring at them like, do something. We're just gonna sit here around these islands and we want you guys to do something. And the only reason they left is because there was a potential tsunami coming in. They're like, oh no, we gotta go. No. But they just sat there and just stared at them. They I think it was one shift was 40 hours long. They spent 40 hours just sitting there staring. Like, come on, we want these islands. Give us the islands. This is what we want. And Japan's like, no.
No. It's just like, we get it that you guys may think you need these, but we really need these.
Yeah, Japan's just like, no. But the other biggest issue that Japan is dealing with China is China's claim over the South China Sea. Because China claims that they own 80% of the South China Sea. Because of some old map from 1947 that gave them claim over it.
Right.
And when a World Council said, no, that's not what it is, they go, we don't agree with that. That doesn't
jive to us. That
doesn't exist. So we own all this area. So
this is
what you gonna do about it?
All ours. Yeah. But it is from the mismanaging of resources in China that they need those. They need the fish, which they've overfished in their other areas. They've completely overfished and have actually stretched themselves out, which the exact same thing that's happened with North Korean fishing ships is that the islands that North Korea is able to go fish from, they've overfished as well, and sometimes have to encroach on the South Korean fishing routes. But South Korea and Japan, their fishing routes are fueled by this beautiful thing called capitalism. So they try not to overfish them and try to breed them. So you get this other people like, oh, there's fish there. Get it, just get it and bring it back here. Like, hey, man, we don't do that here. Okay.
we don't do that.
So, and that which makes so that's when Abe talked about stepping down. Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago?
I think it was only like a week or so.
Oh yeah,
Wasn't that long ago.
Everything is just coming. So fast there. Abe's talking about stepping down because of his health concerns, because he understands. I think he kind of sees that how China is poking and being a threat, and that he knows he probably doesn't have the the focus that he needs to have to it. And we're talking about a prime minister. He's been there for 8 years, and he's helped pull Japan out of this decade-long recession. Okay, you think the U.S. recession has been bad? Imagine being a decade-long recession.
It's not even a decade-long one. They've been like stagflation since the 70s.
Yeah. And this is an economy that was supposedly surpass the U.S. and it kind of it's a lot of unfunded liabilities and the critical grave coverage, and the shrinking population is not helping as well.
Oh yeah, the whole population issue. I don't know how much it's changed from the last time I did any looking into it, but the major things that the reason the population is going down is because of it's a 3-factor thing of the women want the guys to look more like J-pop stars, and the guys don't want that. The guys are told that the women are supposed to be like they were taught, because the men are supposed to go be salarymen and work until they die, and their wives stay home with the kids. But the women are also starting to work again, so the men don't feel like they have a place anymore. And then with all those expectations on them, they just kind of given up on people and started playing dating sims instead. There's whole resorts based around hanging out with your virtual girlfriend. I'm not even. There's literally stations where you put your DS down and then they project her up.
I'm trying to act surprised that I don't know about this, but I actually know about this.
No, you do. I know you do. I mean, a dude literally married his DS in Japan.
Yeah, which is just
because his waifu was.
Yeah, which is insane. Well, not insane. It's different, but it's understanding of when you get competing cultures going against these things, and and it's strange and different and it's almost kind of like forecasting on what some of it which is happening here in the US. From what I'm noticing, a lot of different men here in the US are actually having some of the same issue. Not that they have to look like J-pop stars, but it's that weird point where it's it's not that, how can I want to put it? It's a lot of people still try to do this old world mentality of marrying up. And I think that baggage is also holding a lot of people up of finding happiness, especially here in the US, where I've got to marry someone that's going to make this much money, have to have these different things. And I think if you put these expectations and limitations on different things, it's going to limit you from finding happiness. Try to be happy. To me, I always tell people, I found love and happiness when I took all those different that pile of things and requirements I needed from a girlfriend, and I threw those in the garbage, and I just let my heart find happiness. I've never been happier, But that's me.
Right, but it also comes down to just this is kind of breaking down even further of the same reason that Japan is like all those men feel like they're like don't have a place anymore because they were told that you're supposed to work all the time and your wife takes care of everything and you need sons to carry on your line and that's what you need.
Correct.
And to the point where they would let them take naps at work because that means you're working so hard you fell asleep.
Right.
And now that that's changing, where women are in the workforce and they aren't, or they're expected to be the stay-at-home parent, the kind of the things that a lot of the U.S. has already gone through, and the expectations of the female wanting the male to be better than what he thought he was supposed to be, kind of warped everything for them. Yeah. And then once the men realize that they don't have to deal with those expectations anymore, if they go plow their body pillow, it fixed a lot of things for them. So they can just be themselves without worrying about, well, the entire world around me wants me to work until I die, and I don't want to do that. I just want to sit home and watch anime.
Right. So they bring in enough money just to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you've got all this stagnant capital that's not out spending, and they're just kind of enough for their bills, enough for everything else, rainy day fund, and that's all they're just building up.
They're just existing.
Yeah.
Because that's what they would prefer to do, but they feel like the expectations of the women around them are so high that they can't compete with what they want.
Yeah. So this whole factory idea, bringing it back to Japan, might help everything out because factory, they're not going to be able to manufacturing. A lot of the time, a lot of people dislike or bring up this bad idea of manufacturing. A lot of people have these bad ideas of what a manufacturing plant looks like. Those are from old photos. Most manufacturing, especially here in the U.S., especially like the Subaru plant or most textiles, stuff like that, there's a lot of technology involved. A lot of it's very clean. It's only really the small companies that are dirty still, but most manufacturing plants are incredibly clean. They're basically clean rooms, and I think a lot of these guys are probably going to get some neat jobs, be happy, and might change different things because a lot of manufacturing jobs do require a little bit of muscle and different knowledge. So
right, and it'll give them something else to strive for, instead of trying to force themselves into this square peg of be this J-pop idol or else.
Right. All right. So let's keep going on. What other island or archipelago or peninsula is these islands you guys want to bring up? Because I think we've ragged on Japan here for the last 20-ish minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
speaking of roasted the crap out of them.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, speaking of, since you brought up of how China brought up a map and decided that this is where they're like, let's do it to another country they're doing too, and actually had a recent skirmish for that is India.
Oh, yes. Here's the interesting thing, right? Just to tie them both in to give you a nice segue. Because of how China is acting about the South China Sea, Japan, India, and Australia are in talks of having a pact where they just trade with each other and ignore China entirely.
Vietnam got added to that list after they got shelled.
Nice.
Vietnam.
So
after getting shelled, they're like, okay, India, we're with you too.
so now you have Japan, India, Australia, and Vietnam, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of going through China, they're trading with each other instead of having to deal with China.
Right.
They're like, fuck China.
Right. And that's after was it Thailand stopped on their whole production of the canal, closing the Chinese Navy off to an even smaller peninsula. Like it looks like for monetary reason, but I don't know if China wasn't giving enough money to Thailand, or did other countries pay Thailand to say no?
Could be, at this point it could be either or.
Right.
We'll get back to Australia, but with the way
that's a conspiracy
China
theory, unfounded conspiracy theory. That was unfounded conspiracy theory.
Right. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It wouldn't surprise me if allegedly that's what China's doing, because the way they're treating Australia, which we'll come back to,
right,
kind of makes me think that they're treating them.
Right. Yeah. It would be cheaper.
Allegedly.
Because allegedly it'd be cheaper for Australia to make sure the canal didn't happen.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So India.
So India, border country to another one has a land border with China. They have been going back disputes about them, which they have like almost like a DMZ zone on the upper parts of India or southern parts of China, around the areas of Nepal and like Tibet. And they've actually been moving flags back and forth and having like small skirmishes. They're like these weird skirmishes, like videos you can find like on YouTube of India and Chinese forces not shooting, not yet. They have kept it to like bumping, kind of like that weird school fight. Come on, bro, what do you got? What do you got? Pushing and shoving and like small kicks and punches as they go ahead and take over these small mountains, which do have mineral resources in it for mining. As they fight over these small territories, because China believes that it owns so many miles into India, past Tibet, and further deeper into India, where which these lines were drawn up from once the British Empire pulled out. These lines were determined and set forth like, hey, these are the different lines. India agreed with them. A lot of other countries, China actually agreed with them at the time. But after a while, they just said, nope. They just try to redraw maps and bring flags up and kind of encroach that barrier further over.
That whole thing, literally, I just looked at it because that thing is still going right now. Mm-hmm. Literally, today was the first shots fired in decades.
They actually shot today,
and both sides are claiming the other one did it.
Oh shit. That's which is all right. So a lot of people don't give any credit to India because the only thing they think of India is food, yoga, and it's that other thing. The other thing people think of India. Don't mention that. Anyway, so
curry.
I was going to say Taj Mahal. That's most people when they think of India. It's the food, curry. You're at yoga, and the Taj Mahal, which is just a mausoleum. So,
there's a link to Al Jazeera that I just found. I just sent it to you on Discord.
Oh, we're going to believe Al Jazeera now? Is that NewsGuard certified?
There's a lot of other sources. That's just the first one I found. Thank you very much. But, do you need me to find other ones too? Do I need to find BBC reports? Is that what you need me to do?
I just want NewsGuard. NewsGuard certified. Can I get NewsGuard certified? All right.
God.
All right. That's good. You got anything to say? I want to make sure you could bring anything up that you wanted to bring up.
Well, so the entire thing with India is like we very easily could find ourselves in a spot where we have two nuclear armed powers at war with each other. And for a while there, we were thinking India and Pakistan, but now it's looking like China might be coming in like a surprise entrant. And
here comes a new challenger.
Yeah, I don't know that the world is really ready for that sort of heat to come down.
Correct. Yeah, because that is the unknown. Like most people don't think about that. Thank you for bringing that up, Scholarship. Is that India is a nuclear power? It is a budding. It's like everyone keeps talking about how China's a budding superpower. So is India. India also has 1 billion people. So does China. Like they are competing with each other. The first largest navy is the U.S. Second, Russia. Third, China. And guess who's number 4? You guessed it, India. That's also with Air Force, same thing. They're right behind them. Now, the Chinese military is built up a lot more, has put more money, allegedly, from what people have known and what has been reported. If you believe, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this about China for a lot of different numbers they have. Is like I don't believe any of the numbers they post.
Right.
I don't believe a lot of different things. A lot of I've seen so much vaporware, other things coming out of China.
Right.
Some things are just hard to believe. They're just like they're unpalatable. I'm like, no, that makes no sense. I need someone else to look at this.
Total random fact you were saying about the naval stuff.
Mm-hmm.
According to the U.S. Defense Department in 2019, China has the largest Coast Guard in the world. In the world.
Oof. Oof.
And I think about that is that was just sitting outside of Japan for 111 days, just staring at them. The biggest Coast Guard in the entire world is just sitting there staring at you and your declining population.
They're just sitting there
menacingly. So India.
Yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah. So back to India. Yeah. So India has the nukes, has the airships, has the because China already has one battleship, so does India only has one battleship. So like it's the naval battle hopefully won't come because right now no one really has China and India. No one really has an upper hand at those. But it's over when it comes to allyship. So India has been doing its best to court other allies. And they're basically, and it seems like their biggest policy right now is courting allies burnt by China. People who realize they're being deceived and who are and China's burning bridges with, or ticked off. That one being Thailand, Australia, and Vietnam. It's actually like supposedly in talks that they're trying to talk to certain African countries where China has gone over there and just kind of like bought everything and destroyed the land and resources over there too, and have been kicked out of certain countries. So some of that. So it's clear that to me it looks like India is trying to find a way to get an upper hand. Multiple upper hands onto China. So I don't think it's not in India's best interest to attack China. It is in no one's best interest to attack. The capitalist system or like system that most people portray in having a war, not profitable, awful for your economy. But everyone wants to make sure they have that upper hand. So the other person who's like, hey, you want to attack me? You sure you want to do this? It's, this is going to be bad for all of us, but it's going to be really bad for you. And
right.
It's really feel like that's what the Indian government really plans on doing.
That's why that border dispute's so scary.
Yes.
Is that the fact that now that as of today they're shooting, that apparently fire has been heard on that border for the first time in
decades. But
decades.
This has been right. But this isn't new. This is not new.
Mm-hmm.
This has been going. This border dispute has been going on. A lot of, and so is the island disputes. But this whole COVID thing that has that bad pressure and having people moving different factories out. So that's another thing that's people going with India. It's like, oh, you need cheap labor? Oh, you have cheap labor. Are they slaves? Heck no. You will pay them a great wage, but they will make great work here.
Right. And they have like 80 more Bollywood movies to film in 2 days.
Yeah. Yep. And you actually can make movies and like censor yourself. Why are you censoring yourself? Don't censor yourself for us. We want the real stuff. Give us the good stuff. It's Now, like I'm sure there's bad stuff in India that if we like dug to India right now, but right now that
Oh, yeah, I mean the caste system. I mean, there are most definitely problems in India.
Yeah, acid
But
tax on women
what
often.
acid attacks,
Oh
caste
yeah,
system,
yeah.
what?
What are those? I never heard of those before. But yeah, no acid tax and caste system
Acid attacks.
and lack of clean water and toilets.
Oh, come on.
But
Yeah,
that's another discussion from another
yeah,
day.
yeah.
We're talking
But
about China right now.
correct. Yeah, yes. One act of heroics does not make one an angel. So
No, I mean nobody's an angel, especially in this country and this planet. To be honest.
yeah, correct. I'm just a god. I am the hype.
I can be your angle.
Oh, you're a devil. Oh god
Need
damn it.
that remix edition. Send me a spangle. Get Nightcore on it real quick. Anyways, it's another country I like. Vietnam. Yay. I enjoy Vietnam in Korea. I think if there's two Asian countries that I would probably enjoy going to, just retrospectively, don't know anyone there. I'm just outside looking in. I think I would probably enjoy going to South Korea or Vietnam. They just look interesting, and I would have a ball having them. Just outside
Oh
looking
yeah.
in and just talking to like the Vietnam office from my company and just talking to them. I was like, wow, this really does sound like a cool place. I will probably hate it there. Being 6 foot, American is all hell.
Oh yeah. You hit your head on literally everything.
Yeah.
You look the wrong way and everybody stare at you
Oh yeah.
until you go away.
Right. Yeah. I and it just irradiate American, so they just
Right.
don't like, oh, great.
Can play video games slightly better than they can.
Yeah.
In Vietnam, in particular.
Okay.
Vietnam.
Oh, okay. I was
Vietnam,
like,
yeah. In South Korea, they're like the best.
Thank you.
So that's not even arguing. That's not even discussion.
I think I'm
But
good.
Vietnam is like arguably when you look at world's level things,
Yeah.
gaming wise, they always come below America, but that's a low poll because America's pretty low on that poll in video
I
gaming.
could probably hoop on some guys in South Korea.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh
but if we
man,
pick up the sticks, probably get hooped on.
you would probably be the equivalent of LeBron James there.
Over there, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But if we pick up the video game sticks, I'm just getting bodied. I'm just gonna get
Oh
bodied.
yeah.
It's like, oh, this is your pastime, huh? Let's go back outside with the real basketball. But yeah, but Vietnam, just like the islands, the Senkaku Islands from Japan. Vietnam makes. Don't forget the names of the islands. Sorry, welcome to Low Key WAL. This is what you get. Look it up yourself. Vietnam has also had the exact same troubles. They had these private islands that they purchased, and that they were going to use to help bring in money for the country because they're going to sell the mining rights. But China has taken over those and shelved these different things, and they're having Vietnam. I don't know if you know this, doesn't have a very strong navy.
Does not surprise me.
I guess. So
well, I mean, they had a strong enough one for the Gulf of Tonkin, according to the government.
I said no conspiracy theories.
No conspiracy theory. I'm just saying what the government said.
Anyways, let's get the conspiracy theories out of the way. All right. Okay. Yeah. Apparently, the Navy was strong at that one point of time, then week after that, and week before that. That's my official document that I was supposed to read. Anyways. And then Vietnam has teamed up with India to help strengthen it because they've also felt attacked. That it goes with I can see somebody's got that Vietnam. That's Thailand. Of course, now Laos is a different story. Has anyone looked into Laos?
No.
So Laos is a very smaller country. Most people only know Laos because of King of the Hill. Yeah, Laos, yeah, or the quote unquote Asian cop that was there for the George Floyd protest.
Oh yeah.
He's also Laotian from Laos. I have a personal friend. She's from Laos. She's the one that my wife hangs out with and showed her how to cook a lot. When I was eating when my wife made egg rolls, and she also made homemade pork rinds and all those different things. This is how she learned it from her friend from her Laos friend, which I enjoy her going over there. Is she probably a bad influence on her? Maybe, but her husband likes to eat, so they're always in the kitchen cooking, and my wife comes home with good recipes. So
win-win.
Come back with bad swear words and the ability to play spades better than I can, but man, how's the cooking skill up?
Yeah, you're right. She probably could beat your ass in euchre though. Just by baseline.
Well, my wife can beat me in euchre, one because Indiana born and raised.
Yeah,
so
that's what I meant.
It's her Genkai. It's her and then she also plays a lot more in with some ghetto ass people in the inner city of Indianapolis, and freaking cutthroats.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Most of the time, like
also never played spades with some of the rough people in the inner city of Indianapolis because they will hard focus on that overbooks. I swear to God.
Oof. And it's like, all right, we're switching to dominoes. Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, domino.
Let's do some dominoes. All right, everybody, put your guns over here. What?
So I just plug in Smash Bros and just deal with it.
Yeah,
Smash Bros is fun.
Yeah, it's almost like
ultimate playing field.
It's like, why are we putting our guns up? What happened last time you guys played dominoes? I just want to know. Guns get pulled.
Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Now put your gun over there.
I know. Woo! Put your hand up. Pick your hand.
Put that piece back up.
Oh, I didn't need that. I'm sneezing. Anyways. All right, what did I say? Laos. So Laos is another one of those border countries that, but which Laos doesn't have, and like a lot of parts of Thailand, is that they have, they allow a lot of, like China got drinking there, but they don't allow gambling in China. Laos has gambling.
Yeah.
So what they've tried to do is build up a lot of, like kind of like making Las Vegas-ish. So like these small towns in Laos try to get people to come in from China to go into Laos, because Laos is not a very rich country and they're pouring money into it. China even, right, to kind of make it this kind of like Las Vegas touristy spot. COVID is destroying a lot of these smaller towns because of travel restrictions.
Yeah.
But it's and it's like these parts of Laos, which are now just majority kind of Chinese and Thai people coming there just to try to get people to get the ultra rich out of China to spend money so they can gamble and like that Las Vegas style of would you say just like get your vices
glitz and glamours.
Yeah, get some glamour, get your vices across. Yeah. All right, let's see. We went there. All right. All right.
So let's talk about Australia.
Yeah, let's bring in Australia. Good old Australia.
Let's talk about Australia.
Which I'm sure won't be a problem.
So it's really important that you understand how important Australia is to China. You have to understand 1.2 million Australians are of Chinese descent. Yeah.
What?
1.2 million Australians are of Chinese descent. Yeah.
I thought this was a British colony.
Quite frankly, I didn't realize there was 1.2 million Australians.
Right. But because that 1.2 million are of Chinese descent, they had a really close cultural connection with China.
Mm-hmm.
That's also not talking about their economical connection, where China had purchased 36% of all of Australians' exports and sold 25% of their exports to Australia.
Ooh.
But the most important thing, right? Australia is 60% of all the iron ore that China gets, 50% of all the natural gas China gets, and 40% of all the coal China gets.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. So the resource where China is importing natural gas and coal
and iron.
So
from Australia.
All right. So those weird videos that we watch all the time of those Chinese goat cities, right? And they're importing all this crap.
Yeah. that's their best import. Like Australia is China's biggest import partner, their biggest economical partner, because Australia gets all their tech stuff from the tech stuff and furniture. Oddly enough, from China. Yeah, it's weird. But in exchange, China gets the iron and liquidized natural gas and coal, all from Australia.
It's just
right.
All right. Okay.
So when you stop and think about it, it's like, what? It's over 60%. I think it's like 63% of the iron ore is from Australia.
So I do know, like, the inner part of Australia is uninhabitable. They're just basically just digging in the center of Australia.
They just have. They're so resource rich because if people can't live there, you don't have to worry about industrialization destroying the area.
Yeah, you just dig.
So you can just
the desert.
get whatever you want.
Yeah, just dig. There's no communities near here. Just keep digging. Dig deeper.
Right. So, as of recently, China got really mad at Australia.
Oh.
For several different reasons. One of them is the Uyghurs, yeah, the Muslims that they're killing in Australia. I mean, in China,
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. They openly let them talk in Australia, all over everywhere in Australia, and China's not happy about that.
Ooh.
Especially families or people who had family in China that got taken away.
Is this how that information got out?
Probably. Because they just let them talk. So more than likely.
Oh wow.
Then Australia removed Huawei or Huawei.
Yeah,
from their 5G infrastructure.
Makes sense.
There's like, get rid of them. They don't count. All
right. Perfectly honest, right? I will say this, right? I loved Huawei products. I thought
they're interesting. They're interesting.
It's a great radio. It's a great product.
Right.
But I just Australia, like it's giving information to the Chinese government.
Yeah. Australia excluded just them. Yeah. And it made them really mad. But the icing on the Sunday is that Australia is the one that called for the independent inquiry on China's handling of COVID.
Oh.
They're the ones that called for it. That was both backed by 137 countries, including China.
Yeah.
But they didn't like the fact that Australia brought it up. And it made them really mad.
How dare you bring this up?
So China, in their infinite wisdom, decided, this person that's given us is our biggest trading partner, giving us 60% of all the ore that we need to build things in our country. Yeah. Let's decide to say screw them.
Yeah. So it'll hurt their economy.
So apparently, they banned beef imports from Australia. And dropped an 80% tariff on barley. Booze.
Oh no. Oh,
it's a really weird way to have a beef with somebody when you won't have their beef.
Right. Like they turned the beef back. That's how big of a beef they have.
So if you have barley, how do you get beer?
Right? It's an 80% tariff on all barley leaving Australia to China.
I'm not saying China likes to drink, but
right
on the records, everything I look at, like China likes to drink just like every other modernized country. Workers work hard all day, and some of them love to drink. It goes all the way back to Egyptian time. When you sit there building a period, and stupid pyramid in the middle of the freaking desert, going, "Whew, this is pointless and stupid." But this guy keeps giving us beer. Woo!
Ooh, let's party. But it's one of those things of like, they decided that if they were going to turn the pressure on to make Australia like give in immediately because they traded back and forth, and Australia was like, we don't care. They just ignored everything that China was doing.
Yeah, they're like, well, I can't say what Australia's response was. It has the C word in it.
It is commonplace in Australia. You have a point.
Well, do they tell them just to get wrecked, Karen?
Replace Karen with a 4-letter C word.
Yeah, probably. Karen.
Karen. Yeah, they're like, oi, you Karen.
But the biggest reason that China is so scared is because they're afraid that Australia is going to flip to the U.S. And they're afraid that Australia is going to be a massive liability to them since they rely on them for so much stuff.
Yeah, and and their position in the sea, in the ocean, the ocean, because Australia is a continent, so the oceans that Australia also touch.
Right.
So it's feeling like that bad game of Risk where you try to hold Asia right now, like, oh crap at me.
Yeah, and they're the smart player holding Australia and just building up troops in Australia, just sitting there, just waiting for everybody to kill each other.
Yep.
The smart way to play Risk.
Yeah, that's why the newer version puts another way into Australia. Like, boo,
boo, boo. Only one way in, boo,
one way in, one way out. Like,
fucking boo.
Yeah,
basically, before all this happened, China and Australia had a really great relationship, like a massively great relationship, to the point where like they were throwing parades and celebrations at China and Australia.
Right, and isn't it that the Australia is also where a lot of the educated Chinese go? That's where they go for like university, right?
Right. Exactly. There's supposed to be all these people and communities, and as you said, 1.2 million are of Chinese descent. Right. Yeah, so they had to get there somehow.
Right, because China, and we're talking about like the uber wealthy. Those are uber wealthy felonies from the Chinese Communist Party that has the ability to send their family overseas to get educated and going to Australia. These are these people. We're not talking about that guy who built the freaking who builds those towers. He's not going to be able to afford to send his kids over there. We're talking about like Chinese Communist Party elites, like connected people who have this ability to do that. So that's. So it changes the demographic. Like when you think, like, well, the Chinese demand, well, they're just immigrants. Like, no. This is different. Yes, this is completely different. Because there's a lot of that, because there's a lot of uncensored reports of also the upper echelons of the Chinese Communist Party, like of those people like buying, like getting dual citizenships, which hits on those weird conspiracy theory boards where like, oh, they're doing this to, to spy on America, or get the heck out and funnel the money out of the damn country.
Exactly. It's the exact opposite of what American companies are doing.
Right.
The U.S. is their offshore bank account.
Right. Yeah. Get my money in the U.S. get it away from the CCP, and then eventually get my family and get the fuck out of this place.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's exactly what happened with Australia.
Yeah,
like
right. Yeah, and that's what and a lot of them were probably using that to funnel it out because with the Uyghur Muslim thing, this helped me. I kind of understood. I thought there were just two different ethnic groups basically inside of China. And from doing this research for occasionally for this show, I realized there's more than two. There's close to 9+ that we know of and have record of distinct ethnicities inside of China that are still alive. Because Frieza said it best: you can't be racist against a race that doesn't exist. China's kind of good at that. It's the Frieza of planets.
Well, I mean Tibet, that's its own long history right there. That is a distinct country that most people don't acknowledge as being a distinct country because it's been absorbed by China for the past 60, 80 years.
Yeah, but the Dalai Lama has his own problems too.
Oh no, I'm not again, like we said earlier, just because China's been abusing them doesn't make them the
angels.
Heroes.
Yeah. So put up my stat sheet about from the Australian government, their tracking of this stuff, their foreign affairs and trade with China. Right? The total amount of imports and exports going through China and Australia is 212, more like 213 million Australian dollars back and forth. And that is 30.7% of all of anything coming out of Australia.
Can I get that in Dogecoin, please?
I wish I know that easy conversion.
Oh man,
it is
insane amount of money, an insane amount of status and wealth and power that just flows through that, and it's because that's massive vacation. All these people going on holiday. That's Chinese tourism bucks to get out of the clutches of the CCP, of the elitists. This is where they go and party,
right?
Education. This is.
Another fun fact: the other thing that the four highest things that China import from Australia was iron ore, which is $63 million Australian dollars worth. Natural gas, which is 17 million. Coal, which is 14 million, and gold, which is 5 million. So, all those things they need to,
make electronics,
stuff,
make stuff. Yeah,
is all coming from Australia for the most part, anyway.
So with Australia doing that and then beefing with them, and it's already going to. So if your manufacturing is already going to stay in China, the price is going to go up, irregardless, whatever you do. So you either bring it back to the U.S. or bring it back to another country. Your prices are going to go up anyways because of the small fight that China and Australia is happening. Possibly, if you use any of these basic resources or other things that China has to use, it's gonna. It's going to spiral. It's pop until it ends. It could possibly spiral until someone puts a control over it or finds another location to get resources. It's okay, but this is when you guys were looking for this information. Was any of this information hard to look for, or it was just underreported?
No.
Underreported.
Yeah, literally, all the Japanese stuff I found through the Japan Times. A large part of it came from Japan Times. Some of it came from history books about the Senkaku Islands, but most of it's through the Japan Times. And some of the trade stuff from Japan was from the Chinese trade information. So. Might not be the most accurate, but close you can get.
Yeah.
But the Australia stuff is just like I just Googled Australia-China relations and saw what came up.
You use DuckDuckGo here, sir?
I searched.
No, thank you.
Australia-China relations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry. It's I deal with older people trying to learn the computer all day, so I can't just go search this. They're like, "What?" Google. Oh, okay.
Okay. Google.
And you think I'm kidding?
Well, I think Google is a good search engine to use for that, because anytime I search for Chinese-Japanese relations, it's definitely not on this topic.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh, that is that. All right. Then on that bombshell, we have hit our hour marker. So I try to keep these under an hour, unlike the main show, which likes to go 3 hours, and so let's go around the room really quick. If you got anything you want to plug or anything that you wanted to bring up, bring it up now. So let's start with Escalaja. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to bring up before we end the show?
No, just a few things that I'd like to mention. Like I said, like Tibet is one thing, Hong Kong is another. Like people want to say like, oh, the West and Europe were the only colonial powers ever. I mean, no, look at China and look at the past. They've taken over and subjugated their neighbors. They like to say that they're not an imperialistic country, but they have definitely expanded great deals in the past. And, oftentimes by subjugating their neighboring ethnic groups.
Yeah.
And, just don't do your own research on it. Look into the history of it, because it's there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even like the Japan, which everyone loves and stuff like that. Look at what Japan did during World War II to Korea. Not especially during World War II to Korea and before that, or just to the Asian continent. In its imperialistic stage. Like if you thought what you read about what Japan did to its own people, wait till you see when they cross the ocean and they realize, these are our people.
These people don't matter.
Right. It's like, wow, why was I never taught this is dark? Oh, wow. It takes a lot of the race theory that people have, like only white people are bad. I'm like, you sure about that? Are you sure about that? I seem like very ignorant of
world. You say it's colonizers are bad,
right? Yes, right. Because remember, black people never colonized anything.
They were forced to be places.
Yeah, we were forced to be there. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Don't research anything. No research. No research.
Research into current politics, not that. Not
politics, that. Right? And if you see about Africa going other countries, those are alleged that Africa stayed and was peaceful by itself, and never once went outside of its continent and did other things. All right, Vincent Cooper.
Doing research. China's a bag of dicks. Allegedly, they're allegedly a bag of dicks. Random plugs for stuff. You should find the Tales of the Dark Multiverse comic book collection. It is a tales of a whole bunch of short stories of things that happen in the DC universe, but if it's really dark and messed up. So like if one of it is like Batman Nightfall, where Batman gets his back broken, but instead of him becoming Batman again, John Paul Valley stays Batman and he kills Bruce Wayne. And how John Paul Valley changes Gotham the way he sees it, etc. So check that out. That's really interesting. I've been playing this game Hades, which is technically on early access, but it's from Supergiant Games, who made Bastion. So a lot of people like that game, and it's really fun. It's a roguelike game, so it's based in like Greek mythology and gods. So, and Wakanda forever.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Key WAL. You can listen to anything else in the world, but you decided to come here and listen to this. And thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Look over what we talked about. If you have any questions, come to the Discord, the We're Libertarians Discord channel. Message us if you have any questions, where we found this information. If you find the information contradictory or just want to add to the conversation, it does not have to end here when I press end on the podcast. This conversation can continue going because it's going to keep growing as we speak. This could change. The information that we had from we started the episode will probably change by tomorrow. It's just how fast a lot of these situations is going. Don't forget to listen to live to We Are Libertarians, because we started doing it on Saturday because it's just an easier time for everybody. This Tuesday is not always good for me, and it's Tuesday not always good for Dear Leader, but Saturday morning, yeah, I'm usually up doing nothing anyway. So the only thing I do on Saturday mornings beforehand was working out. So I'm gonna lose my 6-pack. Yes, I'm gonna blame We Are Libertarians for losing my 6-pack. Nothing else. Dad bod is losing his Wall's fault, not mine. So anyways, thank you all for tuning in, having fun. See you guys later. Maybe I'll get it on Twitch later, do some gaming chats just to hang out with the fans, since I miss all the Zoom calls when we hang out with fans. So have a good one. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.